Hello, everyone. Welcome to another video on Introduction to Biblical Hebrew. Today's video will be discussing syllabification. Now, syllabification is simply the division of a word into bite size to bring out a sound. What does the word sound like? So in Hebrew, there are two basic rules when it comes on to syllabification. Every syllable should begin with a consonant and it should have at least one vowel. Secondly, there are two types of syllables in Hebrew. You have the open syllable and the closed syllable. What do I mean by that? An open syllable is a syllable that ends with a vowel, whereas a closed syllable is one that ends with a consonant. Let me show you an example. All right, so on the screen, you're seeing the word davar, right? Now, davar has two syllables. Davar has two syllables. So it is the dalet and the kamet, that's one syllable. And then we have the bet, the kamet, and the resh as another syllable. So it's the da and then the var as shown on the screen. So it's two syllables. Now, the da is an open syllable because it ends with the kamet, and the bar is a closed syllable because it ends with the resh, which is a consonant. So on my screen, you're seeing it a little clearer in terms of the bar. So on the left side, you're seeing the full word, the var, and then to my right, you're seeing the var split up into two syllables. So it's the da and then the var. You realize that I say var, and it's because the soft pronunciation of the bet. So it's not the hard B, it was a soft B as in V as in vine, right? And number two, as seen on the screen, there are two types of syllables, the open syllable. So here, the DA, Dalet and Kamet, open syllable, and the VAR, the closed syllable, because it ends with the resh. Hebrew, words, they are accented or usually stressed on the last syllable of the word. So for example, we had the var, right? So the stress or the accent would be on the var, not on the da. So it's a general rule that is usually on the last syllable. But there are times when it's not found on the last syllable. And when this is so, the language usually puts an accent, like a symbol, like an arrow going to the left on the section of the word that should be stressed or emphasized. And when it is done like that, you will know that, hey, the emphasis is not on the last syllable, as is the general thing, but it's on that part of the word. So if it wasn't on the var, in the var, then you would see on the da, which is the only other place it could be on because it's two syllables, you see like an arrow going to the left on the da, and you know that, hey, that's where the emphasis, when I'm pronouncing it, that's where I should stress the word. All right, so now that's clear in terms of knowing where the accent or the stress of a word when you're pronouncing it, where it's supposed to fall. That takes us into the next section of what I want to discuss with you. Syllables are classified in three ways. You have the tonic, pre-tonic, and the pro-pre-tonic. What is that? The tonic is referred to as the syllable that is stressed or the accent is found on, right? So remember, I just mentioned that the general rule is that it is found on the last syllable, but if it's not found on the last syllable, a symbol will be placed over the syllable in the word that is supposed to be stressed. So that section will be referred to as the tonic, Tonic. Then the syllable before that accented word is referred to as the pre-tonic. Now, what you need to know about the pre-tonic and the tonic is that they can only be one tonic, one pre-tonic. And the next one, which is the syllable that falls before the pre-tonic, is referred to as the pro-pre-tonic. And with the pro-pre-tonic, you can have as many pro-pre-tonic syllables as you want, as possible. So I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to share that my screen. All right, so I'm just going to show you an example, and this example is coming from the same basics of biblical Hebrew book that I mentioned in my previous video that you can be reading through as I go through these videos with you. The information is all there in the book, right? And so on the screen, you're seeing davarim, which is the plural for davar. Davar means word or saying, and this is the plural, like words, davarim. And so it is in the case of davarim, so whereas davar was 2 syllables, davarim is 3 syllables. And so it is split up in 3 syllables. So we have the tonic, pre-tonic, and the pro-pre-tonic, right? Devering, devering. In an earlier video, I'd mentioned, I'd introduced you to the term Dagesh. Now, Dagesh is the dot that is found in some consonants that are referred to as Begat Kefat whenever it is referring to the hard pronunciation of those consonants. So these are consonants that can have a hard pronunciation and soft pronunciation. And the Dagesh is used to tell you, hey, this is the hard pronunciation. But there's another dot in Hebrew that is referred to as the Dagesh forte. Now, how do you distinguish between the Dagesh forte and the Dagesh? No, the Dagesh really is only found in these Begat Kefat consonants. The Dagesh forte is found in the other consonants. So when you see the dots in the other consonants, then you can rightly assume that, hey, this is the Dagesh forte. The Dagesh forte is used to double the consonant. So whereas the Dagesh is found only in the Begat Kefat and is used to say, hey, this is the hardened pronunciation of a word, the Dagesh forte is found in a consonant. It is used to double that consonant. So for example, if it's found in the letter M, mem, then it is saying this is 2M here. And that's what the Hebrew person, the people of the ancient world usually do. They did not use a lot of letters. They try to concise that possible. And so instead of writing on 2M's or 2T's, they'll just put a dot in the middle and say, hey, double that thing. So that is the Dagesh forte. Interestingly, the Begat capital letters that take the Dagesh lineage can also have the Dagesh forte. So then, how do you know when it is a Dagesh forte that is in the Begat kepat or is it a lane? Now, there is one basic rule that you can use. Whenever a vowel precedes a Begat kepat letter, then it is a Dagesh forte. Let me go again. If a vowel precedes the Dagesh, the Begat capital letter, then it is a Dagesh forte. However, if a consonant precedes it, then it is a Dagesh lean. Also, when a Begat capital letter begins a sentence, then it is a Dagesh lean, unless the word that preceded it, it ended with a vowel, then it would be a Dagesh forte. So that is a basic way of distinguishing between them. Now, there is another symbol that I wanted to introduce you to, and it's referred to as the shua. Now, the shua is basically, it's not a vowel, but it is like a placeholder. And it is like 2 dots, 2 vertical dots. You have 2 types of shua. You have a silent shua and you have a vocal shua. Whenever you see these 2 dots in a word, sometimes you see them side by side, sometimes you see them by themselves. How do you know? So the ones that are silent are not transliterated, they do not have any value. But the ones that are vocal, they are transliterated like an upside down E or a superscript E at the top. Now, whenever it is silent, a silent shower is one that is found at the end of a word or it is preceded by a short vowel. Or if you have 2 vertical dots side by side, then when 2 showers, as our teacher usually tells us, when 2 showers go walking, the second one does the talking. So the first one could be silent. And so once you know the basic rules for the one for when it's a silent shower, then any other situation, the others could be the vocal shower. So if you know that, hey, in the case of the silent shower, if 2 go talking, the second, if 2 go walking, the second go talking. So the second one, they're going side by side with the vocal shower. If the schwa preceded by a short vowel is silent silent schwa. Then if it is preceded by a long vowel or any other or by a long vowel, then it would be a vocal schwa. The silent schwa ends when it ends a word, then it is a silent schwa. Now when it begins a word, it is usually a vocal schwa. And so these are just some basic things. And an additional one with the vocal schwa is if it is found below a consonant that has a dagesh forte, it is a vocal schwa. That's another additional one. So it's just for you to know that. And let me just show you how the schwa looks from the same basics, um, from the same book that we have been using. So on the screen, you're seeing in red, that's what the schwa looks like. Two vertical dots, right? So that's the schwa. And this begins the word, and so it is a vocal schwa. If it had ended the word, it would be a silent schwa. Here we see two schwa side by side, and the second one would be the vocal one. The first one would be silent. So this one would be transliterated as like an upside down E or superscript E. This one would not be transliterated, the first one. And you see the schwa here again, it is found below a letter that has a dagesh forte, and we know that it's a dagesh forte because the symbol is not a begat kefat letter, and the dot is there, so we know this word is going to be doubled, and the schwa that is found underneath it is a vocal schwa. So that's just an example of the schwa that I wanted to show you. All right, so thanks for joining me for this video. In my next video, I'll be going through nouns. And so you don't want to miss it, we'll